This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, plus special features and reports with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
On the hot seat, good afternoon. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. testifying today at a high-stakes hearing on Capitol Hill.
Under President Trump's leadership, we at HHS are enacting a once-in-a-generation shift from a sick care system to a true health care system that tackles the root causes of chronic disease.
The nation's top health official defending his vaccine policy in testimony before the Senate Finance Committee.
America is home to 4.2% of the world's population, yet we had nearly 20% of the COVID deaths. We literally did worse than any country in the world. And the people at CDC who oversaw that process, who put masks on our children, who closed our schools, are the people who will be leaving.
RFK is under fire for not making the COVID shot universally available and for firing several top scientists at the CDC. But many Republicans, like Louisiana Senator John Kennedy, no relation, admit the public health sector is in disarray right now.
There's just been too much chaos. It's a goat rodeo over there.
Meantime, the state of Florida has just moved to end all vaccine mandates, including those for children who attend school.
Everything we did during COVID, they screamed bloody murder on all of it. The reality is we've always been for informed consent, and we've always been for parental rights.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says his state is the first in the nation to officially eliminate vaccine mandates. The state's Surgeon General, Dr. Joseph Ladapo.
Who am I as a man standing here now to tell you what you should put in your body?
CBS News medical correspondent Dr. Celine Gounder says vaccine mandates serve a purpose.
Vaccine mandates are why we don't see polio in playgrounds and at the swimming pool or measles in classrooms anymore. And you throw out the vaccine requirements, and you're rolling back decades of progress.
Secretary Kennedy is in the process of transforming the way people get vaccines. RFK wants to limit access to COVID shots and overhaul the panel that recommends which vaccines Americans should take. The DEA, Drug Enforcement Administration, has just intercepted a massive shipment of ingredients used to make methamphetamine. The bust was made at the Port of Houston in the Gulf of Mexico. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro.
It will take 24 18-wheelers to take these precursors to a storage facility.
The shipment seized contained 1,300 barrels of meth precursor. The drug-making ingredients came from China and were headed to Mexico. The product could have produced 500,000 pounds of methamphetamine with a street value of over $500 million. President Trump says he believes the people of Chicago support his efforts to use the National Guard to fight crime. He also says Los Angeles would not be hosting the 2028 Summer Olympics had he not dispatched the Guard there earlier this year. And Louisiana's Governor Jeff Landry says he wants Guard troops in New Orleans to quell crime in the Big Easy. A federal judge is blocking the White House from freezing billions of dollars in federal grant money meant for Harvard University.
Harvard claims the Trump administration pulled $2 billion in federal grants in retaliation for the university refusing to meet its demands. The grants were frozen in April, hours after the university refused to end DEI programs, address anti-Semitism, or screen international students for their ideology. Wednesday's ruling vacates the orders affecting Harvard and bars the Trump administration from enforcing them. I'm Rory O'Neill.
President Trump speaks by phone today with Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky as efforts continue to try and wind down the war with Russia. Russia overnight launched more drone attacks on civilian targets in Ukraine. Overseas, Israel's casting doubt on the latest peace overture from Hamas as that war drags on. The war in Gaza. Reporter Linda Gradstein is in Jerusalem.
Israel dismissed the Hamas statement as spin and said it would only accept a comprehensive deal to end the war if Hamas surrenders and disarms, which the organization has refused to do. Israel is pushing ahead with its plan to retake Gaza City and has declared the area a combat zone.
First Lady Melania Trump hosting a summit on artificial intelligence today at the White House. She'll be hosting top tech leaders from that industry. Patrice Onwuka with the Independent Women's Forum says the focus of the get-together is how to integrate AI into the classroom more effectively.
Why not bring that into the classrooms and bring that into children so that they're getting comfortable growing up with AI, utilizing it, and then becoming really adept at it when they enter the workforce?
Later today, President Trump hosts big tech leaders in the newly renovated White House Rose Garden. They include the titans of big tech, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, and Tim Cook.
All of these CEOs and their companies have big stakes in the AI game and the AI race. And so I think these CEOs see an opportunity here with an administration that wants to take a light regulatory touch to the development of AI. And so why not get on the president's good side?
Noticeably absent at that meeting will be Elon Musk. It's finally here. The 2025 NFL season kicks off tonight. The defending champion Philadelphia Eagles host their division rival, the Dallas Cowboys. Eagles head coach and Jamestown, New York native Nick Sirianni.
I feel good about where we are right now, and this will be a really good test against a really good opponent.
The Cowboys are adjusting after trading their star defenseman Micah Parsons to the Packers. Kickoff set for 8:20 on NBC. Still to come on the Noon Report, what parents think of a bell-to-bell ban, energy policy in New York, and get your shot at CVS.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams, tracking areas of showers and thunderstorms for the afternoon. We'll have forecast details up in 10.
All right, Kevin, we'll see you then. Let's check the stories making news across New York and Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro says CVS pharmacies across the Keystone State will begin administering COVID vaccines soon. He says this will ensure that senior citizens and those with underlying health conditions can get protected from the coronavirus. Last week, CVS had announced it would only give the shot to those who had a doctor's prescription. A few days into the new school year, and the jury's still out on the effectiveness of New York's new bell-to-bell cell phone ban. With districts starting to get back into the swing of things, these parents tell Spectrum News what they think of the digital device restrictions.
I think there's no business for them being in school. It's not necessary.
I like the lack of distraction.
I think that any time that you can make sure that instructional time is not being interrupted by devices, you're supporting student learning. Elementary, middle school, bell-to-bell ban is great. I think for high school students, they're going to be transitioning into a modern world where cell phones are used every day by everyone. And I think we have a duty to educate students on appropriate uses of cell phones.
I'm a retired school teacher, and I believe strongly in banning them in classrooms.
Say this is your last moment. Say you're not able to text your parents in your last moment. That's horrible.
The smartphone ban includes exceptions for students with disabilities, those with health concerns, or kids who speak English as a second language. New York will need about 180,000 new teachers by the start of the next decade. That's according to NYSUT, the state's largest teachers union.
We're looking for teachers in every area, but the areas that are always hardest to fill are special education teachers, teachers of foreign languages like French and Spanish, teachers in like high school sciences and math.
Stephen Todd, superintendent of the Jefferson Lewis BOCES in central New York. 1/3 of New York's current teachers will be nearing retirement age within the next few years. A new report today suggests that Pennsylvania schools may want to invest in solar power. Family Life's Brian Query.
The Penn Environment Research and Policy Center unveiled a study at the PA State Capitol Wednesday showing schools schools could save millions by installing solar panels. The report estimates that the panels could save districts $342 million over a period of 25 years while creating energy equivalent to 1.5% of Pennsylvania's power consumption. Officials add that solar would also cut air pollution linked to asthma in children. Lawmakers say they're still debating how much state money will be available for solar schools in next year's budget. Brian Query, Family Life News.
Thank you, Brian. New York Republicans are up in arms over Governor Kathy Hochul's controversial new energy plans. They hosted a press conference yesterday outside the Erie County Public Library in Buffalo.
All of these things will drive up the cost of New Yorkers' utility bills. All of these things are being done at a time frame which is not reasonable and in many cases will result in less reliable power because you have an electric grid that can barely handle the base load today, let alone moving every New Yorker over to the electric grid, whether it's here in Western New York or across the state.
Senate Minority Leader Rob Ortt fears the effort to wean New York off fossil fuels will lead to higher prices and fewer choices for families and businesses. Last week, an illegal discharge from the Great Lakes Cheese Factory in Franklinville, New York, led to tens of thousands of dead fish in Ishua Creek. Now, the New York Department of Environmental Conservation says that company was not in compliance with its permits. Great Lakes Cheese still will not say what exactly was released from that factory into that creek. Its cheese production has been put on hold while the investigation continues. The pros and cons of data processing centers are a hot topic these days in Pennsylvania. Family Life's Mark Webster.
Yeah, a gathering at Marywood University in Lackawanna County brought together state lawmakers, utility groups, the Public Utility Commission, and others to talk about plans for those data centers, which are crucial to emerging AI technology, but which also come at a steep cost in terms of power to run the computers that make AI work. About a dozen such centers have been proposed for Northeast PA alone, with many more statewide. Utility company PPL says it would need to about triple its power generation over the next 10 years for those plans to become reality. Mark Webster, Family Life News.
Thank you, Mark. An endangered red panda born at the Buffalo Zoo makes her public debut today. The female cub was born in mid-June. Red pandas are considered a critically endangered species. There are fewer than 10,000 of them in the wild today. Sports is next. It's the 2-minute drill right here on the Family Life Noon Report.
Are you ready for some football? Bob, it is hard to believe it, but the NFL begins tonight in Philadelphia. The defending Super Bowl champs, the Philadelphia Eagles, will raise their championship banner against their longtime rivals, the Dallas Cowboys. Should be fun. Let's talk baseball. The Astros scored 7 straight late runs, and then they held on to beat the Yankees 8-7. The Bronx Bombers got home runs from Giancarlo Stanton, Austin Wells, and Cody Bellinger, but it wasn't enough. The Yanks dropped their second of 3 games since their 7-game winning streak. The mighty Dodgers aren't looking very threatening in Pittsburgh. The Bucks got home runs from Andrew McCutchen and Brian Reynolds, and they shut down L.A. 3-0. 5 pitchers used by Pittsburgh to get their major league leading 17th shutout of the season. The Bucks will go for the sweep today with what could be a classic pitchers matchup. It's Paul Skeens against Blake Snell. The Tigers prevented a sweep at the hands of the Mets, prevailing 6-2. And in Milwaukee, the Brewers took down the Phillies 6-3. Weston Wilson hit a 2-run shot for Philadelphia. Checking out other scores, Cleveland won easily over Boston 8-1. The Angels edged the Royals 4-3. The White Sox also won by a 4-3 score against the Twins. Tampa Bay beat up on Seattle 9-4. The Nats were 10-5 winners over Miami. The Cubs fell to the Braves 5-1. The Giants outlasted Colorado 10-8. Baltimore, a 7-5 winner against the Padres. Arizona shut out Texas 2-0. St. Louis 5, the Athletics 1.
And Toronto scored 13 of the 22 runs in their game against the Reds. For you math majors, that makes it a 13-9 victory. I'm Randy Snavely, and I studied hard in school. That is a look at sports.
Yes, he did. The power of education on parade right there. Doesn't let a good mind go to waste, Randy Snavely. And still to come on the Noon Report, some much-needed rain headed our way. A conversation with John Stonestreet about his new film, Truth Rising. And at the end of the broadcast, a leaf peeping forecast for the upcoming fall foliage.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. Today's commentary comes from author and apologist Abdu Murray.
The August 27, 2025 mass shooting at the Annunciation Catholic School is revolting for many reasons. The victims were largely children in the midst of praying. The shooter had written a hate-filled manifesto and, chillingly, scrawled his hatred directly onto his weapons. He wanted everyone to know not only what he had done, but why. While mental illness played a role, political and social agendas were the fuel, making this atrocity the latest expression of what some are now calling assassination culture, a disturbing level up of cancel culture. Where cancel culture sought to erase voices and reputations through social pressure in the digital arena, assassination culture seeks to eradicate adversaries through violence in the physical world. We've already seen this trend take root. Consider Luigi Mangione, who murdered Brian Thompson, the CEO of a major healthcare insurance company. Instead of universal condemnation, Mangione achieved macabre celebrity status. Why? Because he murdered the right kind of person, the head of a healthcare insurance company. When Thompson's family needed sympathy for their husband and father's death, the public valorized the killer. Or take Elias Rodriguez, who fatally shot 2 Israeli consulate staff members, Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram, outside the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. in May 2025. Witnesses reported that he removed his keffiyeh and shouted, "Free, free Palestine," as he was apprehended. He wrote that, quote, "Those of us against the genocide take satisfaction in arguing that the perpetrators and abettors have forfeited their humanity," end quote. For Rodriguez, murder became a megaphone. And of course, consider the attempted assassination of Donald Trump on July 13, 2024. Immediately following, #HowD'YouMiss trended on X. Across various platforms, people responded to a mass shooting in America by lamenting that the death toll was too low. And now Robin Westman, etching his hate-filled epithets onto his weapons, literalized how we've equated identity and ideology. Assassination has become activism. Murder has become messaging. The post-truth world that elevates feelings and preferences above facts and truth has collapsed the distinction between a person's ideas and their identity. And so the social erasure of cancel culture has calcified into something darker. When people believe that bad ideas make people unworthy of their humanity, then what begins with hashtags and deplatforming can end with bullets and bombs. We label others what Susan Harding calls the repugnant social other. And why not cancel such subhumans by way of assassination? It is precisely at this point where ancient biblical truths about what it means to be human can heal our contemporary malady. Thoughts and prayers are common and, when sincere, appropriate responses to such mass evil. Such sentiments are increasingly derided as impotent and performative. Action, not thoughts and prayers, is needed, critics say. Ironically, Mangione, Rodriguez, and Westman acted out of their own twisted thoughts. This underscores that prayerful thoughts, properly ordered to God's will, can lead to life-giving action. The cross of Christ, where Jesus sacrificed himself for the sake of those who hate him, is the antithesis of assassination culture. It is action that proceeds from thought. As we imitate Jesus, his self-sacrificial message will be etched on our very lives. Perhaps others will notice. Perhaps we will see each other as human again.
Today's commentary was authored by Abdu Murray. You can read more from Abdu at embracethetruth.org. And to download, print, or share this commentary with others, or to receive these daily commentaries in your email inbox, just go to colsoncenter.org/radio. That's colsoncenter.org/radio.
Outside next, Mr. Kevin Williams.
Here is your family life weather forecast for this afternoon. Turning out cloudy with showers and a couple of heavy thunderstorms moving through the area into the early evening hours. High temperatures today, 70s and low 80s, dropping back into the 50s. Tonight, for tomorrow, it's a mix of clouds and sunshine, just a slight chance of a shower. High temp 70s. Much cooler Saturday, mainly cloudy. We'll have rain Saturday. The focus of the rain will be the morning hours across central New York and central and eastern Pennsylvania. High temperatures on Saturday, mostly in the 60s.
All right, Kevin, thank you very much. This is the Noon Report on Family Life. I'm your host, Bob Price, and thanks for checking in today. Next up, a conversation with John Stonestreet at the Colson Center. You hear him every day on the Noon Report during our Breakpoint commentary. Well, Stonestreet's just produced a new groundbreaking film that's available for free starting tomorrow. I spoke about it with him earlier this week, and here's some of that conversation. Take a listen. Friday, September 5th, Focus on the Family is teaming up with the Colson Center to release a groundbreaking film. Truth Rising is not just a documentary. It's a call to action at a critical time in our culture. As faith, identity, and morality are being redefined, this film exposes the civilizational moment we are living in. Through powerful stories and expert analysis, it reveals how ordinary people can make an extraordinary impact by boldly choosing courage over fear. A short while ago, I spoke with John Stonestreet of the Colson Center about this film. Here's some of that conversation. What's the gist of Truth Rising? What are you trying to accomplish with this documentary? And why now? Why are you releasing this project now?
God puts us in particular times and places in human history. We're at a critical moment in human history. It's been a privilege to work with the one and only Os Guinness on this film.
All the great civilizations in the past can only be found in three places. They're in ruins, they're in museums, or they're in history books.
Oz calls this a civilizational moment. We're at a pivot point for the Western world. And so the question that we want to ask is, what's the nature of this moment that we're in? And then that classic question that Chuck Colson asked, that Francis Schaeffer asked, that's how shall we live in this critical cultural moment?
Yeah, you have assembled quite a cast of Christian culture warriors, I'll call them, in this film, Truth Rising. The stories of Chloe Cole, who a lot of our listeners know.
There is no my truth or your truth. Jesus is the truth.
Seth Dillon from the Babylon Bee.
I firmly believe that there's a spiritual war that's happening behind the scenes of all of these conflicts.
Jack Phillips, the famous Christian cake baker from Colorado.
I knew right from the start this calling had been placed on us and that we had to be obedient to God.
I'm wondering, why did you settle on them and their stories to help make the point you're trying to make in this film?
You know, I think it was George Orwell who said, in an age of deception, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. And if that is indeed the case, then these are revolutionaries. These are individuals who have found the truth and who made a commitment to live by the truth. And the results are spectacular. But this isn't just their calling to be truth tellers in this moment. To be called to a moment like ours, where so much is at stake, is to put our feet firmly on the truth and be willing to stand on it and leave the results up to God. So you have Chloe Cole. Chloe was a victim of one of the great lies of our generation, like so many other young women, that they were born into the wrong bodies. Well, she came to the truth about herself, and that pointed her to the source of all truth. That's God. And then you have Jack Phillips. I mean, Jack didn't set out to be a culture warrior or anything like that. I mean, Jack just had a commitment of what was true and that he wasn't going going to go along with a lie. He paid an incredible price for it, and yet God has used that. And so this is a film that is to inform us of the cultural moment and inspire us to take this calling seriously.
John Stonestreet, our guest. You hear him every day on Breakpoint on the Family Life Noon Report, partnering with Focus on the Family, this new project, Truth Rising. It's a documentary that is free of charge, and it drops, I believe, noon on Friday, September 5th. John, this is a labor of love, I know, for you. I got to ask you the great question. You talk about that civilizational moment in Western culture. I wonder, is this something unique to Western culture? Is this something every country in every corner of the world is facing this unique moment in our history?
Well, no civilization has ever had the impact globally that the West has, right? I mean, we often joke about when someone in America sneezes, then, someone in the other side of the world catches a cold.
Yeah.
But, the thing about civilizations, we usually are reading a history book or we're in a museum looking at artifacts, and that's because civilizations don't go on forever.
Yeah.
Civilizations rise and civilizations decline and eventually disappear. The greatest civilizations in the history of the world are now in museums. So our fate is no different. I don't know what God has in store. What I know is we're at a pivot point for Western civilization.
America, in one generation, is squandering a heritage of freedom like no other.
Os Guinness in the film calls it a cut flower civilization. Think about a flower that's rooted. There's something giving it life and animating it and making it beautiful and shine. If you cut off that source, then it's going to still look good for a while, but it's going to wither and die. We're in that moment. So the question is, how now shall we live? What's it mean to be faithful to Christ at such a critical moment?
Yeah, I imagine part of that decline has to do with the fact that truth has become so subjective in our culture.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder why that is. Why has truth become so subjective in our culture today?
Well, that is the thing that we have untethered from. And even in some of the ideas that gave rise to the Western world, we think about the phrase in our own declaration, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all are created equal. Now, that wasn't something that was even being universally recognized at the moment, but it was a true statement that gave guidance and life to our culture.
Each of us, in our callings, in our spheres, faithful to the Lord, we can still be agents of renewal.
But we've cut ourselves off from that.
Yeah.
The reason is Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the great Russian dissident, said, is men have forgotten God. There is a direct correlation between God and absolute truth, right? If you believe in many gods, you believe in many truths, and there's nothing consistent. If you believe there is no God, then truth is whatever comes to the individual. But you can't animate a civilization with that. In the last decade or so, that's become clear, where we've harmed children and called it healthcare. We are calling up, down, and down, up. And eventually, that civilization that is rooted in those new ideas is going to wither and die. So we are saying there are voices that are realizing this, that subjective notions of truth cannot be sustained. The simple act of telling the truth, loving the truth, living by the truth can have such an incredible difference, like in the 5 stories we tell in the film.
People are terrified to tell the truth. We have a society of cowards. You realize what evil is being done because you don't have the courage to speak up.
Can't wait to watch it, September 5th, Truth Rising. One of the things I love about the Colson Center and listening to your commentary every day on Breakpoint, John, is your call to Christian exceptionalism and why it matters so much in the day and age in which we live. We can't just be different. We have to do it better. One of the things I heard you on a recent podcast say, and I'd just love to have you end with this, and this idea of what can I do to reverse this decline, to be a part of the solution instead of the problem. You argue that while Christian faith is personal, it cannot be private. Why is that so important that we comprehend what that means? And why do you think so many of us as Christ followers have bought into that lie that my faith is both personal and private?
Well, it's one of the best parts of the Christian worldview that not only does God exist, but he is a person who wants to be personally known. known. And he created us as people who can personally know him. And we do. Jesus Christ died for the sins of the world, and that's our sins too. I mean, this is such good news. But the statement, God exists, it's not a matter of personal preference. C.S. Lewis said it was the most significant statement of all time, because that means the entire universe is a different place than if he doesn't exist. Christians have embraced a privatized view of Christianity because they're really secularist, because we believe this other narrative. And this is a call, Truth Rising, to talk about truth, not just my truth or your truth, but as Chloe Cole says so articulately in the film, Jesus is the truth, and that's truth with a capital T.
TruthRising.com, that's where you can learn more. And as you said on the website, it's not just a documentary, this is a call to action. And I thank God that you and John Daly at Focus on the Family have made this free, so everybody that wants to can watch it, and I can't wait to watch it. John, in closing, what do you hope people will come away from having experienced this film that is about to debut?
Well, they'll join the movement of these courageous truth tellers. We're just calling people to a movement. I know it sounds like a big statement, and it is, but that's what we're doing.
How could we possibly be pessimistic when we have resurrection power?
Watch for the free global streaming premiere of Truth Rising, Friday, September 5th. You can find out more at truthrising.com. And you can download my entire conversation with John Stonestreet at the Colson Center at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or our website, familylife.org.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Well, we've got an active afternoon with the arrival of a cold front. Showers and thunderstorms will be rolling through the area, some packing a wallop. Behind the front, much cooler air arrives for the upcoming weekend. For this afternoon, turning out cloudy with showers and a couple of heavy thunderstorms moving through the area into the early evening hours. High temperatures today, 70s and low 80s, dropping back into the 50s. Tonight, 40s in areas in far western New York and western Pennsylvania. For tomorrow, it's a mix of clouds and sunshine, just a slight chance of a shower. High temp 70s. Much cooler Saturday, mainly cloudy. We'll have rain Saturday. The focus of the rain will be the morning hours across central New York and central and eastern Pennsylvania. High temperatures on Saturday, mostly in the 60s.
Great work as always at the Weather Center, Kevin Williams. And finally today, prepare your peepers for some peerless leaf peeping. Say that 5 times fast. Family Life's Jeremy Miller has more on the upcoming fall foliage.
Yeah, Bob, you may have already seen the first hints of yellows, oranges, and reds. Most experts say the leaves are expected to flash their fall fashion by mid-September. For those planning viewing trips, peak fall foliage is expected to hit during the 2nd and 3rd week of October. Then their vibrancy will only last for 7 to 10 days. Some foliage trip ideas. In New York, you'll find the most vivid, vibrant viewing in the Finger Lakes, the Adirondacks, and the Catskills. In PA, you can spy the scintillating spectrum at Allegheny National Forest, Pine Creek Gorge, and the Poconos, just to name a few. Jeremy Miller, Family Life News.
No bad place to see those fall colors in New York or Pennsylvania. Can't wait for that. Thank you, Jeremy. And that's our world, the world we live in. Thursday, September 4th. I'm Bob Price, Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.